Hey guys, I'm Sophie from Lingucast. If you like this video, make sure to give it a like, to comment, and subscribe and share it with your friends. Thank you.
And a curious question. You mentioned that you mentioned the ACTFL,
Yeah.
and a lot of viewers, a lot of people are more familiar with the CIFR, which is the European scale.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between the ACTFL and the CIFR? Which one's better? What are the pros or cons of one and the other?
Well, yes. So the CEFR was developed after the ACTFL. And the CEFR was designed to be more for curriculum.
Mm.
Like, how can we teach people language? It was not designed for how do we test people.
Oh.
Now, what happened is that the CEFR was designed, it has A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2, right? Uh, the scales can talk to each other. ACTFL can map onto CEFR, but CEFR cannot map onto ACTFL.
Oh,
Okay.
how come?
Because the CEFR scale, it does not constrain the function of that the language
Mm.
what the person's supposed to be able to do with language. Yeah. So if you look at the CEFR scale, they have about, I'm thinking, like 40 different charts.
Oh.
So like they have listening. So they have listening, and then they have listening in a speaking context. They have listening to a radio program. They have listening, overhearing a conversation.
Wow.
They have listening, so they have all these different types of listenings
Interesting.
that are listed. But when they've created a test, they don't actually specify which listening was being done where
Okay.
they're awarding the rating.
Huh.
Does that make, so that,
Yeah.
and um ACTFL and has been fairly proprietary that you can't award an ACTFL rating unless you're a licensed ACTFL tester. Yeah. Whereas anyone can take a CEFR rating and just say, this is what my test means, this is what my score means, but there's no quality control.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because ACTFL is an actual organization, and a CIFR is, as far as I know, something governmental.
It's from the Council of Europe.
Is
It's
the
the ones that
yeah.
came up with it, I think.
You have different institutes, like if Goethe gives us the CEFR score for German, the DALF gives the one for French, and they all have their own.
Yeah, and like Cambridge does it for ESL, or so they have that each institution in each country sort of defines how they're going to operationalize it.
Hmm.
And my colleague was at a conference once, and one of the education ministers there, and like said, my B2 will never be your B2.
Oh.
Because like in how they're interpreting it, because
Yeah.
in Europe, you've got different levels. Like the northern countries tend to, northern countries, they tend to, like the Scandinavian countries or whatever, typically have people that are fairly proficient in English. Like
Yeah.
but then you get to other parts of Europe and English may not be as strong, but they can still have the same B2 rating.
Yeah,
Each country is sort of interpreting it their own.
yeah. I actually have an experience in that in my mission with a companion of mine that that his companion that one of the companionships one of my companion's companion took a test and got B2,
Mm-hmm.
and he compared his companion, of course, his German with his, and it was like okay, and then we met a guy. He's like, yeah, I'm B2, and my companion was like, he looked at him weird, like, you are B2. And then I remember that us going in the bus back home. He was like perplexed, like what's going on. I was like, this man said he was B2. I was with the other elder when he took their test. My German is about the same as the other elder. His German is B2, mine's probably around B2 the same level. And this guy, my German is light years way better than his, and he's saying that he's B2.
Interesting.
So you can have multiple definition of B2. It's kind of like a joke how like A1's like this, A2's like this, B1's like this, and then B2 is like this.
I mean, and that's what makes it really hard. So, like, I'm actually working with a colleague at Language Testing International. They're the licensee that does actual tests about looking at the CEFR descriptors and trying to make sure that they can communicate with each other. But my friend Rachel, she works at FBI. She said, there doesn't need to be one universal scale. Different scales can serve different purposes. She said, she's like, and she actually gave a really interesting analogy that I like. She said, every time when there's a different Bible translation, it costs about $1 million to have a different translation of a Bible,
Really?
right? So she's like, so you need to ask yourself, why, what value is there in the different translation? Well, oftentimes it's because there are different purposes behind it, right?
Right.
There's different purposes behind it, and there can be utility among them,
Sure.
but you need to understand. So when when I was talking with her, one of the things that they use is that when they're so let's take Arabic since you
Arabic. Yeah.
so testing Arabic for diplomats.
Arabic is an interesting one. Yeah.
Yeah, Arabic for diplomats. In that environment, nearly everyone in the educated thing will also be fluent in MSA, Modern Standard Arabic.
Yeah.
Right. And so you can sort of rely on this sort of educated thing because there's a context where you would use it. It's going to be
Right.
diplomatic context. But one of the things that is primarily assumed is that when you're talking with people, they want to showcase their language. Well, imagine that you're interrogating someone that's a suspected terrorist. Are they going to want to, how much are they going to, there's the assumption that you're speaking with a cooperative interlocutor.
Right.
That maxim doesn't always hold true in a testing situation and in a real world situation.
Yeah.
When you start moving into a government context, you could have someone that doesn't want to speak, and then let's say that they speak Levantine or Egyptian Arabic, and so if you're trying to test Arabic, what's the Arabic that you're trying to test?